Hey everyone, welcome to a special video. I just spat all over everything, but today I've got a special video for you all covering the Pokemon of the Year, voting my picks for what I think is going to win Pokemon of the Year, as well as, I guess, my favorite Pokemon from each generation. So if you guys don't know, there's actually a vote going on. So we find ourselves here on the homepage of Google. Shut up, Google. I'm not actually talking to you. So we find ourselves here on the homepage of Google, which doesn't happen too often. I mean, when was the last time you actually went to google.com instead of just typing it in your browser search, you know? But they got a nice little doodle for Valentine's Day going on today. Look at that. Intergalactic love. How come it keeps flipping through different stuff? What is this? Oh, it literally looks up, I'm feeling curious. What is happening? So if you guys weren't aware, there's a voting going on for Pokemon of the Year. If you just type that into Google, it will automatically bring up the Pokemon of the Year voting. As of the time I'm making this, I guess you can't really vote anymore. So if you guys weren't aware of this, then I'm sorry, you might have been a little too late, but I feel like there might be a second round of voting. I guess by the time this video goes up, we'll see if the second round of voting is up, but I wanted to do my predictions for which Pokemon I think will win in each generation, as well as I guess what my vote would be for the best Pokemon in each gen. I've noticed a lot of people doing like a tier list of each generation's Pokemon, so this will be sort of similar, just my favorite picks or my top Pokemon from each generation. So without further ado, let's get into it. And if you guys are excited, make sure to drop a like, support your boy down below. We're gonna get started with the Kanto region though, the one that started it all. I feel like people are just gonna vote for their favorites, but if I had to say what Pokemon had the most impact in 2019, it would probably have to be something from the Galar region, if not, of course, Pikachu because of Detective Pikachu, the movie, maybe even Charizard. I mean, Charizard's always a forever popular Pokemon, but same thing with Mewtwo. Like, Mewtwo's always a popular Pokemon, so automatically those three, I feel like, I don't know, they could end up being the top pick for Kanto, but I would certainly hope that they're not. Like, I would honestly vote for something like Slowpoke because it's just so hilarious. There's that little Slowpoke song. Galarian Slowpoke just got announced. Well, not just, but like a little bit ago. We saw that come out. It might just be Bulbasaur. I mean, there is that whole Bulbasaur propaganda page going about, and it's like the first one on the list, so you know that a lot of lazy people are probably just going to click Bulbasaur, vote, and then that's it. They don't vote for anything else, just Bulbasaur. So if I had to make a big brain prediction, I think Bulbasaur is going to win the Kanto category, purely based off the fact that I don't give people enough credit, and they probably just click the first one, and that's it. But as for my personal pick, I think I'm gonna have to go with Ninetales. I don't think Ninetales had a particularly like outstanding year or anything, like nothing crazy or unique happened to Ninetales this year, but I just love the Pokemon personally. You guys know Fabi the Beast and Ice Ninetales from the Alola region, well, the Alolan version of it. So I guess maybe in the year when Sun and Moon came out, I definitely would have said, you know, Ninetales was the best Pokemon of that year, at least for me, but I have to resist the temptation to cast my vote for it because I do think there's a Pokemon that had way more of an influence this year, specifically with the release of Sword and Shield, and that is Meowth. Not only did this man get an Alolan form as well back in Sun and Moon, but also a Galarian form in Generation 8. I don't know what the love for Meowth is, like why they specifically love Meowth so much recently, but it's always been a member of Team Rocket as well. And even though it gets all of this love from Pokemon Company, I'm not really sure that the fans really back up Meowth as much as, you know, they apparently love it. So I'm gonna cast my vote for Meowth because, you know, it did just get a new form, and my boy Meowth from Team Rocket has always gotten the short end of the stick. You know, he's always the butt of the jokes, always being made fun of. So for Meowth and all the Meowth fans, this one's for you right here. We're gonna go vote for Meowth. Thanks for voting. Join us 227 Pokemon Day to see some of the top community voted Pokemon. Oh, so I guess there we go. Some clarity on what's actually gonna happen. 227 is Pokemon Day. That is actually the day I'm flying out to PAX, so I'm gonna be probably on a plane ride on my way to Boston during when this happens, which kind of sucks because I want to cover this as a video, but maybe when I land in Boston I'll have time to talk about it. I'm just curious what's gonna happen today once the voting closes. Are they not gonna share the results until 2/27 then? Why not just keep the voting open until then, or at least a little bit later than today? I don't know, I'm confused. Bruh. That's gonna be my vote for Kanto. I can't change it anymore, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Meowth is submitted. You can vote once a day, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore because as of the time I'm making this video, the voting is closed. So my bad, guys. Next up, we got the Johto region. Not exactly a region that I'm like too experienced with or have that much fond memories with, even though I was born in '94, so literally the year I think that Pokemon Red and Blue came out. I was a little bit too young to really comprehend Pokemon when Gold Silver came out. Maybe a little bit more towards Crystal, but not really had a crazy attachment to the Johto region. But I do love Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I think they're still, to this day, one of the top 3 Pokemon games ever made, at least in the main series games. So I guess first I'll try to predict which of these ones I think people will most likely vote for. I mean, the legendaries of Johto are always pretty popular, especially Suicune. I feel like might end up winning this one as far as the fan voting goes. Tyranitar definitely has a chance as well. I mean, there's a whole YouTuber named after it.
Stop crashing my damn game!
I think the cult of Tyranitar is strong, but which one will people actually end up voting for? Which one would win in this category? The starter Pokemon are also pretty appealing choices here, but I don't think they would end up winning the vote for any of the generations or any of the categories, even though I know some people do vote for the starters. Like, well, actually that's a lie, because I'm pretty sure Greninja's gonna win the Kalos region vote. But for Johto, I don't think one of the starters would end up winning. Maybe Togepi, actually. Togepi did have a huge impact in the anime, being, I believe, the first Johto Pokemon to show up, aside from Ho-Oh in the very first episode of the anime. As far as predictions, which one is going to end up winning this category, I have to submit one. I'm going to lock in Suicune over Tyranitar, even though I think it'll probably be between these two, but I'm gonna say Suicune is probably gonna win because, like I said, Pokemon Crystal was revolutionary. It was actually, I think, the first Pokemon game I officially ever played, and it had those neat little animated sprites. Suicune was, of course, the cover legendary, the mascot of that game, and I think a lot of people really like this Pokemon, myself included, so I'm almost tempted to actually vote for Suicune myself. Sneasel is another favorite of mine from Johto. I've always loved this little guy. It's actually like my second favorite Pokemon, I think, in my top 10 favorite Pokemon video here on YouTube, which is pretty outdated now. I gotta say, I still do like Sneasel, but I'm not sure if it would be that high up. Oh my gosh, how could I forget about Scizor, dude? Scizor is actually gonna be my vote. That's it. I just decided on the spot because I realized how many people love Scizor, dude. It's always been a staple in competitive battling. It's like one of the coolest evolutions to an older Pokemon probably ever. And it looks like that one dude from the Powerpuff Girls. Or dudette? Was this actually the first trans cartoon character to appear in like a kid's show? Powerpuff Girls was progressive, man. So let's move on to my home region, the one that brought me into the Pokemon series. It's time for Hoenn, boys. Although I do love the Hoenn region, especially Pokemon Emerald, I feel like their remakes, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, didn't hit quite as hard as Heart Gold Soul Silver did, but I still hold a lot of these Pokemon very near and dear to my heart. All of the starters from Hoenn, I love them. I've always kind of had a soft spot for Mudkip, so my immediate reaction is almost to just vote for Mudkip, but I'm not just going to do that. Like I said, I don't think that the starter Pokemon are going to end up winning these votes. I almost want to give a pity vote to Flygon because it's always been one of my favorite dragon Pokemon. The original Ground and Dragon, by the way, before Garchomp came along and just like took over that throne. I don't know, scrolling through here, none of them really stand out up until the very end, where of course we've got the powerhouses, Salamence and Metagross. I mean, Metagross, right? I think this might actually win the fan vote if it's not Salamence. I know that the legendaries... Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? Rayquaza, dude! Rayquaza was literally my favorite legendary Pokemon for the longest time. Heck, it might still be my favorite legendary. It got the Mega Rayquaza in the remakes, which is so sick. So, hands down, I think Rayquaza is going to win the fan vote for the Hoenn region. But as for my vote, I don't know if I want to go for Rayquaza, just because I feel like it'll already win, but I think it is my favorite Hoenn Pokemon. I do feel like, though, Metagross is a close second, and so I want to cast my vote for it. Just to snuff Salamence out of the vote, I'm going to go for Metagross, although, like I said, I think Rayquaza is probably going to win this one. Deoxys might have a chance too, though. It's pretty cool, I gotta say, but I'm just gonna go ahead, vote for Metagross. Like I said, we gotta move on, guys. This video is already going on for long enough, and I can't freaking click the back button, dude. My camera. Anyway, we're going on to the Sinnoh region up next.
We will be heroes.
The region with some of my favorite characters, although not necessarily Pokemon, but then again, right as I click it, I already realized that it does have literally my favorite Pokemon, Infernape, Monferno, and Chimchar. I can't decide which of the three I like the most anymore. Usually the middle evolution of starters are like the odd one out, you know, like the weird teenage phase, but in the Sinnoh region, the middle evolution actually looked really cool for all of them, especially Monferno, though. That's always been a favorite of mine, but I don't think any of the starters, again, are going to end up winning the vote here for Sinnoh because there's tons of other awesome Pokemon that were added in the 4th generation. Actually, this was the generation that added the most evolutions, I think, to previous gen Pokemon, as well as like baby forms. We can already see Mime Jr. and Happiny there, Munchlax. Oh gosh, it's Garchomp. Oh my god, Lucario's in here too, dude. Okay, I'm starting to get an idea of who's gonna win the fan vote for this one. Oh, Rotom was in this generation as well. If the voting was for which Pokemon had the most impact in the year, I would have to say Rotom actually has a good shot at winning, because not only was there the Rotom phone in Sword and Shield, but back in Alola we had the Rotom Dex as well. We got the Rotom Bike too. How could I already forget, man? Like, Rotom is everywhere. It was definitely one of the best additions, like creativity wise. The fact that it can go into any electronic and take its form is a really cool concept that they've obviously used so many times. Unfortunately, that's not how Pokemon of the Year works. Doesn't matter how much influence, how much work you've been putting in, it's basically comes down to which is the most popular Pokemon. So Rotom, unfortunately, not gonna be getting that vote, although I think a lot of people are gonna end up voting for it. If anything, it's gotta be between Lucario and Garchomp, because the legendaries, although Heatran is really popular and competitive, Darkrai is really cool, and Giratina has an awesome design. I mean, the god of Pokemon itself is in here, but I'm gonna be honest, I've always liked Garchomp way more than Lucario. Even though it is a cool Pokemon, it got like its own movie, so it definitely has had its impact on the series. I just personally always like Garchomp more, and maybe it's because Cynthia is one of my favorite champions and she's got one on our team. So if it was me, I would go for Garchomp, but I feel like Lucario is gonna end up winning the fan vote. I'm gonna lock that one in, all right? I might end up being wrong and Garchomp actually wins, but I'm gonna lock in Lucario as winning the fan vote for this one.
What the fuck?
But as for my personal vote, I think I'm actually gonna have to stick with Infernape, which actually does have a pretty good shot as well. I think out of the starters from the Sinnoh region, Infernape might be the most popular, but I know that there's a lot of Torterra fans out there as well. Sorry, Empoleon, you're cool too, but gotta rep the OG Fire Monkey. Now we're moving on to Unova, which for some reason is also known as Eunice, Unima, Einol. We know it as Unova in English, so let's see what's going on with the Pokemon here. Suddenly, Omori bursts through the doors with a pet monkey on his shoulder, and he's like, that's it, genius. And that is exactly how that meeting went down, because I don't know how else these monkeys could have gotten approved for the game. So 5th generation was really interesting actually, because if you guys don't remember, Pokemon Black and White, the originals, only had the Unovan Pokemon available in the game. Like, you couldn't catch any Pokemon from the previous generations up until the post game, I believe. So even though a lot of people kind of hated on that at the beginning, I kind of like the fact that they forced you to use these new Pokemon and get to know them, because they added a shitload in this generation. I think the most out of any generation is actually in Black and White. So The point is, there's a hell of a lot of Pokemon in this generation, and I have no idea which one is going to end up winning, because I feel like aside from Scrafty, I guess, and Darmanitan, I don't know, maybe 5th gen did have more of an impact than I realized, because I just named 2, and actually I had Minccino as my mascot for a while as well, so maybe I'm kind of just speaking out of my butt here, but I have no idea what could actually win the fan vote for this generation. Like, Zoroark kind of stands out because it was like the first one revealed. Haxorus I know is pretty popular, being a dragon, and of course Druddigon is super weird looking, so I know people like Haxorus and Axew more. Okay, there's one clear option for which one I have to vote for. Like, I'm not even gonna make my prediction yet. I'm gonna just vote for Stunfisk first. You already know, guys, he got the Galarian form this year too, so Stunfisk all the way for me. I've always really liked Keldeo, actually. It really stands out among the legendaries of this generation. Like, there were a lot of legendaries. This is not at all helping me decide my prediction right now, so I'm gonna just say whatever is on the screen right now. Apparently Hydreigon. I mean, that actually could make sense. I know a lot of people that do like Hydreigon. I don't know if it's the favorite of 5th gen, but I could definitely see it winning. So, I don't know. This prediction is probably totally off, but I'm gonna just say... Now we move on to the modern era of Pokemon, starting with the Kalos region, where the games first went 3D. Whether it was for the better or worse is up to you to decide. I definitely still enjoy the games, though I gotta admit, maybe not quite as much as I enjoyed playing the pixelated era of Pokemon, but I do really enjoy the new Pokemon they've added in the recent generations. The designs as well as the type combinations have been really cool and unique. So starting off with the Kalos region, I believe I mentioned it's pretty clear to me that Greninja is going to win the fan vote, because Greninja has always been a fan favorite, and this is like a worldwide vote as well. I think Greninja in Japan is super popular. There was that whole Ash Greninja hype arc in the anime where everyone on the internet was wondering if Ash would finally win a Pokemon League. And of course he didn't, because he's Ash, and apparently he was destined to win an Alola when he had not fully evolved Pokemon. So Greninja's definitely not the only Pokemon that's super popular from this region. I specifically really like Esper. I think there's some Esper propaganda out there too, like other people really like it. Aegislash was a super popular Pokemon. Talonflame too, I completely skipped over, but going through the rest of it, this generation, I would say more loved than maybe Black and White, although some Pokemon definitely stand out from Gen 5. Gen 6, I mean, almost all of these Pokemon, I can think of someone that really likes it. It was the first generation in 3D, so it definitely had a big impact on Pokemon overall, but which Pokemon itself had the most impact that year? I really don't know, man. I almost want to just go for Greninja, because it is definitely the most popular of the 3 starters. I mean, it barely even had competition with this. Am I really going to join the masses? Am I going to make Greninja Pokemon of the year? No. I'm going to go with Esper, and it's definitely not influenced at all by anything. Esper all the way for me, although Greninja most definitely will win the fan vote. So let's move on from Kalos. We only got 2 more generations to go through here, and we got Alola, everyone, up next. These are my favorite starter Pokemon designs since Gen 4. I think they actually stand a pretty good chance of getting the fan vote as well, because Incineroar is really popular, so is Decidueye. Primarina, maybe not so much, but I know some people that like Primarina a lot, so you know, you never know. But aside from the starters, there were a lot of Pokemon that were pretty popular in the Alola region, so could any of these actually stand a chance at beating them in the fan vote? Ooh, I just saw one that definitely could.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Mimikyu was a Pokemon that had a huge impact. Even though it wears a Pikachu costume, it's not even the Pikachu clone, because it's not electric type, and that would be Togedemaru actually, who is pretty cute as well, but I don't really know if it stands a chance in terms of popularity. Dude, there's Mimikyu merch everywhere. Like, I've seen it here in the States. In Japan, I'm sure it's even crazier. Mimikyu is for sure a very popular Pokemon. I think it was a hit being kind of like Pikachu's evil ghostly cousin, who's also half fairy type. So that combination, ghost fairy, really cool as well. So I think Mimikyu will definitely win the fan vote for this generation. It's between Greninja and Mimikyu, honestly, right now for me for overall Pokemon of the year. If they're gonna count up the votes, like in total, which one was the most voted for between all the generations, it would probably be between those two. Going back to Alola, I think I'm gonna cast my vote for Incineroar because
They're great.
although Decidueye is a close second, I really like both of them, but you know, I love fire types. I'm a fire boy. That's like when you're in training to become a fireman, they call you a fire boy. So yeah, I'm just gonna vote for Incineroar now and move on from that joke. Which finally brings us to the Galar region. This is the only one that actually makes sense for Pokemon of the Year because it actually came out this year. But which of these Pokemon had the most impact, or which one do I think is the most popular in the Galar region? They also have Meltan and Melmetal in there for some reason. Don't know about them. They are pretty popular, to be honest, with Ash having Melmetal. So that could actually be a contender for winning the Galar vote. Then again, this generation just came out, so honestly, I don't know which one of these is the most liked by people. Oh, nope, wait a minute. Toxtricity's a thing. I forgot, man. And that is definitely the most talked about Pokemon. The most fan art I've seen for any of them recently, well, ever since Sword and Shield came out, has probably been Toxtricity. Looking through the rest of them, I mean, I'm not sure. I guess maybe Dreepy / Dragapult are also really talked about. I don't think it's quite as popular as Toxtricity though, but it's definitely between those two, Dreepy or Toxtricity for the fan vote. I know it's Pokemon of the Year, but I keep saying most popular because I think that's how the voting will end up being, just basically which one people like the most. And if I had to guess, even though there is definitely a cult following for Dreepy out there, I think the Toxtricity fans are way more out there. And because of that, I think there's way more of them that are going to vote for it. So I'm going to have to say Toxtricity will probably win top Pokemon of the Galar region. But Melmetal might also be up there with maybe even some of the starter Pokemon. I mean, honestly, it'd have to be the first form just because those are the ones that people still are like most familiar with. Maybe Sirfetch'd or Obstagoon, but definitely nowhere near the amount of popularity that Toxtricity has received. Do I want to cast my personal vote for it though? I think I'm going to go for Cuffant just because it's freaking cute. From the moment I saw it in the intro cutscene of the game, I already fell in love with this little elephant Pokemon. I haven't really cast a vote just for pure cuteness yet, but after all, this is just my personal choice, and at the end, the fans will definitely all vote for Toxtricity, so I'm going to give it to Cuffant just because it's an elephant Pokemon. Come on! But yeah, that wraps up the voting, so let's real quick recap my predictions for each generation, which Pokemon will end up winning the fan vote, not the ones that I picked because I kind of already forgot those. I'll go back through the video in editing and post them up on screen right now, my predictions for each generation, and we will find out February 27th which one actually ends up winning, so see you then.